big news of the day on the side of the Browns is the fact that officially now we can say Dillon Gabriel will be the starting quarterback week 5, Sunday morning in London against the Vikings. Again, it was the expectation when we spoke last night. We thought that we were going to see a clear, okay, well, we're going to get the opportunity of Dillon Gabriel here. Like, we had national reporters all over it. Obviously, local reporters were waiting for the official word before they made the final decision, the final call on things. But we were waiting for it. We felt that moment was coming. Now you transition to what this week's going to look like. And there's obviously plenty of things coming out from the Browns today. Some of them that I'm sure they love making headlines for. A lot of them that I'm sure they don't love. But it kind of comes down to setting a baseline. And yes, I feel like this is an appropriate thing to do on a Wednesday of your expectation and how you go forward judging Dillon Gabriel. Because I gave you the guarantee last night, this offense is going to look better with Dillon Gabriel than it did with Joe Flacco. Right? Like, noticeably better. I'm not going to give you a word like sizably. I'm not going to give you a word like significantly. It's going to look noticeably better. Because I don't think you become a good offense with Dillon Gabriel. I think you become a watchable offense with Dillon Gabriel. I think you become an offense that people can actually put their eyes on. And in a lot of ways, that's the way that I go through and I judge the performance that we should get on Sunday. Do you make the offense look better? For me, it doesn't come down to do you win the game, do you lose the game? Even though obviously, Sunday's going to roll around. I'll be speaking to you guys on Sunday morning. I'm going to be hoping to see a win. I'm going to be thinking that the Browns can win that game, and that's an opportunity that's in front of them. And I'm going to want to see Dillon Gabriel lead the offense to winning football. But it's not the end-all, be-all for me when we talk about seeing the rookie quarterback, seeing a third-round pick enter the game for the first time in week 5. My evaluation of Dillon starts with, do you make the offense better? And if the answer is yes, right out of the gate, the move is a success. Like, if the offense just looks better, it is the correct decision to make that move. Even if the offense makes an adjacent move, it is the correct move for the Browns to make when it comes to the starting quarterback. Because, again, you'd rather see the 25-year-old quarterback go out there and struggle than I'd rather see the 40-year-old quarterback go out there and struggle. It's still worth it to me. But it starts with that. And that's how I evaluate the move out of the gate is, do you just make the offense better? Now, evaluating Dillon is obviously a complicated task. Because you're evaluating him as, 1, do I want to see him here next year in any capacity? And 2, is there a chance that you could be the starting quarterback for me of the future? And I know a lot of people would immediately jump to no. I don't think the Browns would immediately jump to no. So that's where the evaluation comes in. But it's week 1 of him starting. Earlier than anybody expected it to. Like, you ask basically anybody, I don't think anybody was throwing out that Joe was going to get 4 games and then they'd move on to the rookie. Very few people had the feeling that's the way this was going to go. It was a lot more, okay, well, we're going to go 6 games and Joe gets it through the tough part of the schedule and then everything's on the table starting week 7. And if the offense looked bad, well, you just move things over and then you start Dillon and we'll see if there's an improvement made there, but at least you're facing the Dolphins and not the Vikings, the Steelers, or any of the 4 teams you just faced. There is, though, again, a feeling of me sitting here and going, you're making the early change. I care about the wins and losses because ultimately that's what this move comes down to for me, right? Like you're making this move as a football team, not as an evaluator. There's an evaluation piece of this. Obviously, you're trying to see what you have in the rookie quarterback, but you're also making this change because you think it helps the team win. You don't make this move this early if it's about evaluating what you have at quarterback. You don't. You wait that out. You wait to see him play against a non-Brian Flores-led defense. You wait to not play him in London. This is about making the team better and seeing if this team can actually win football games because Joe has been that bad. Kevin will tell you it's not all on Joe. Kevin's right by saying it, but Joe hasn't been good. So this ultimately comes down to, all right, well, I need to evaluate things and I need to see what I have in Dillon Gabriel, but I also need to see this team start to succeed. I think that conversation of judging Dillon based on wins and losses, though, if you're trying to see if he's the quarterback of the future, that comes in the next, 2 weeks. Right? You give Dillon a little bit of time to get his bearings, and then it's, all right, are you converting this team from games that, that they were competitive in, that maybe they could have won and probably should have won, like games against the Dolphins, to now games that are being won? Coming into week 1, it's as simple as, to me, you just have to make the offense look better than it has. That's ultimately a win for your rookie quarterback making his first start. you just have to show improvement. You have to show that there's something there and that there's something tangible that fans can grasp onto to sort of give yourself hope, to make there a belief that Dillon Gabriel can be something at least for this season and that it's not a complete disaster class in the quarterback room. That's the true evaluation of it, is from the fan perspective of looking at where Dillon's at. You should not be expecting a win in this game. I think it's on the table. Again, I'm not saying you should be expecting a loss, but it should not be the expectation that Dillon comes in and then all of a sudden you're just better than the Minnesota Vikings. Even without J.J. McCarthy, that is a better team than you have assembled right now. Flat out, better than the Browns. On paper, should win that game. There's a reason that Vegas has, the Vikings favored in this one in a neutral site. I just feel like I have to look at Dillon, and it's a lot of the eye test, and it's a lot of what the offense looks like. I need to see you completing passes. I need to see you not turning over the football. Right? That's probably the biggest thing that we have going forward, is that Dillon does not go through and commit a ton of turnovers. You have to cut down on the things that Joe did poorly. There will be things out of your control. The offensive line, I do not expect to look good. Kevin Stefanski would not commit to anything today on who will be your starting tackles. I don't expect it to be some masterclass of an offensive line, even if they, make the change and they go to Cam Robinson. Don't expect it to be great. So there's going to be things out of Dillon's control. There's only going to be a level of how great this offense can look. But if you do the things that were being asked of Joe, the offense will look better, and it is a great starting point. It's where you want to be when you put the rookie quarterback in. Don't turn the ball over, make the offense look competent, be able to run the entire playbook. And show me that you can get rid of the ball quickly, because you're going to need to. I don't need to see Dillon Gabriel pump faking, standing in the pocket, and being put into pressure situations where he ultimately makes a bad decision or is taking a ton of sacks. As bad as the offensive line is, you can't take a ton of sacks in this game. If you're going to be successful, it's about playing complementary football. And as much as I hate to hear that line every single week from Kevin, and it gets redundant, and it gets boring to listen to, and it's like, yeah, I get it, Kevin. You want the offense to help the defense. You want the defense to help the offense. He's right in saying it. Like, the offense just needs to help out the defense by playing complementary football, leading longer drives, setting the defense up where the opposing offense has to go the full length of the field to go against them. That's a win from Dillon Gabriel. Go out there, lead a couple of scoring drives. Go out there and put your team in an opportunity to win if the defense steps up. Because right now, that's not something that Joe has done. Because your defense has stepped up in all 4 of the weeks that you've played. They have been a great top-tier defense. The offense has not given you a lick of a chance on the other side. Dillon's done a great job in his career at cutting down the turnovers. That's the main thing walking into week 5. His initial week as a starting quarterback, cut down on the turnovers, try to extend some drives. Just make the offense look better. It's not time to judge this thing on wins and losses. Hopefully they get the win. I think Dillon Gabriel gives you a chance to get the win. But that's not how you judge whether or not the rookie quarterback looks good in week 1. That time will come. There will be a time, and it's not that far away, where we are evaluating how great Dillon looks based on whether or not this team is winning football games. You're in a 1-year evaluation. You have to get to that point. It is not week 5 against the Vikings. That is not the end-all, be-all for this quarterback right now. Again, I think there's a time that comes where you go, hey, Dillon's going to go through, and he's going to be able to be judged on wins and losses. Because, guys, at some point that has to come through. Okay, it's not going to be ever solely based on that this season, because the Browns aren't supposed to win a ton of football games. So you can't make that the only determination. It's going to matter at some point. If we're talking about a guy trying to be your franchise quarterback, trying to pick things up and be really the guy that steps up and takes over for the franchise at the position, he needs to be able to convert on wins and losses. They don't necessarily have to show up. You have to show that you're competitive and that, hey, it's not me, right? You put some weapons around me, you give me some more protection. This thing clearly looks better. It can't be turning the ball over. It can't be making key mistakes, missing key guys when they're open. You have to be making the right reads and just not be given the time and things like that. It is a deep evaluation of how you have to look at Dillon. But wins and losses will matter at some point. In this season, it will be determined whether or not Dillon is, leading the team into at least winnable situations. And, at the end of the day, being able to close those out. That's what happens when you have a first-round pick on the board. If you have the opportunity to get that done, and you feel like there's a good spot at a quarterback, Dillon doesn't pick up wins and losses this year, Dillon would be replaced next year. And the same thing will eventually go for Shedeur if they hand the keys over to him at some point this season. It will matter at some time. I just don't think that time's right now. I think there has to be something. There has to be a set of a leeway for Dillon Gabriel making his first start, making his first couple career starts in the NFL, where you go, I'm looking to see if this thing's just better. And if it's a guy that I really want to move forward with, because if it looks, equivalent or less than Joe, I'm still okay if it's equivalent, but if it looks less certainly than Joe, I'm going to get this kid out of here basically as fast as possible. Like, you are on a not so long leash at that point if it looks worse or even equivalent. Like, again, I'd rather struggle with 25 than a 40-year-old, but I don't want to sit here and continue to struggle to watch the offense the same way I have. And I will cycle through quarterbacks until I feel comfortable with one. And if that's never the case, I'll continue to cycle. At that point, it's turn to first round next year, find a quarterback, get it done. It can't look as bad as it has with Joe. Again, I'm asking you guys at 216-474-0092. I want to get some of you guys in here. Let's go to Terry is in Euclid. What's going on, Terry?
Hey, what's going on, man? I'm gonna fire off some points, and I probably won't have enough time to get all the points I want to hit. But
right.
Why are you putting Flacco at the number 2 quarterback? And my friend was telling me because Shedeur is just not ready to be the number 2 quarterback. Well, then you mean to tell me they didn't anticipate this happening anytime during the season with the schedule they had in the beginning?
I don't know that they expected it to happen the way that it did, Terry. I think that part of how bad Joe's look played into this. And honestly, the only bad part about the way that the NFL is set up right now, right, is that you get a starter, you get a backup, and then you obviously have your emergency third quarterback that is dressed but can only come into the game if the other two are unable to. I think the fear is that if you stuck Shedeur in there, that Shedeur would only be hurting his development, not helping it. And whether or not the Browns are right on that, if they feel that's the way, then I think you have to make Joe the number 2.
But you got these other guys on the team that if Joe go back in there, there's no chance of anything happening this season. Nothing. That's the point. You got to develop a quarterback now. Let me ask you this question: The 2 quarterbacks we got versus all the quarterbacks in college football right now, who are the best?
I mean, college hasn't looked great right now. There's a few guys out there, but I don't hate them.
So I ain't saying I hate them, but am I going to take a first-round pick and spin on them?
I mean, I got to see the way that the college season plays out. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely possible that I look around the room and don't love my options. I wait to see how the college season actually plays out. There's a few guys there that have showed some promise, but less than we thought, I would agree.
I mean, I'm saying, but Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders is better than those guys are at the moment, period. And then the other thing, too, we're gonna waste, Myles Garrett another year. We're gonna waste Denzel Ward another year. We're gonna waste all these guys. We need to go ahead and just go ahead and start the rookie, see what we got. If we don't have anything, like you said, we cycle in 2 quarterbacks.
Yeah, I mean, it feels that way. And Terry, I appreciate the call. Sounds like Terry's going around Dead Man's Curve right about now. That's what that sounds like. I know there's rumble strips anywhere, okay? I know those ones. Feels like you're going around Dead Man's Curve. But, again, I don't know that I can even agree. Like, you look at Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur that you feel that you have a better quarterback than's available next year. I don't think that's necessarily true, right? Like, there's guys who have looked fine this year. I mean, even guys who we considered to be, some of the better quarterbacks if they would have come out last year. Like, I don't know if anybody's in love with Drew Aller right now. I get it. But, Garrett Nussmeier has looked fine. He's looked pretty good. I'd imagine he's still holding first-round value. Carson Beck probably still holding first-round value. I understand he didn't have that at the end of last year, but he had it at the beginning of last year. It's not a foregone conclusion. And don't forget, just because we feel a way that right now in the college season when we're, 4 or 5 weeks in, you're not going to feel that way at the end of the year. And even the way that you feel at the end of the year, you're not going to feel that way by the end of the draft process. Nobody felt like Cam Ward was a hands-down, guaranteed number 1 pick, best quarterback in the class the day the season ended. It was a conversation between him and mostly Shedeur, and then other guys were sort of, mixed in throughout. And again, you had guys like Nussmeier who was available there, who was a conversation if he would have come out. The process plays on and you get to Cam Ward. It's not just about the guys here look better right now. I don't necessarily think that's true, but it is about being able to see the evaluation. I get why Joe's the backup. I truthfully do. I don't think that they feel you can make Shedeur the backup right now if you don't feel like he's ready. Because God forbid Dillon Gabriel took 1 snap and then went down with an injury. The Browns have made it very clear throughout training camp and everything else. They feel that Dillon is the quarterback that is prepared, and they have made it very clear they don't feel that Shedeur is prepared to take on that role right now. Okay, so you kind of side with where they're at. You kind of side with, if the Browns don't feel that way, even if I don't agree with it, I have an understanding of why that is. I'm not saying you got to like it, but the reasoning has been shown.